I got a confession to make. I sold all of my stocks this year. To be honest, I sold a lot of them last year, but coming into 2023, I still had a few holdings. I think I had Amazon, Meta, and Mercado Libre. But by May of this year, I've sold every single one of those. So I know some of you guys are probably already typing in the comments, you're such a hypocrite. You've been telling us all this while to invest in stocks. Before you hit that post button, don't worry, I'm still invested, just in a different way. Let me explain. So before I share why I decided to sell, let me first explain why I invested in stocks in the first place. So I started properly investing in the stock markets in around, I think, end of 2019 or early 2020. So in March of 2020, as all of you know, lockdowns happened and then the global stock market, it all crashed. So I thought at the time that I was the most unlucky person in the world. As soon as I wanted to start investing, a huge bear market was coming. But then the unthinkable happened. The bear market lasted like 1 month or even less, and after that, stocks started going to the moon. And what this did to me was, I thought I was some stock investing genius who had some natural talent for all of this. I mean, literally in 2020, every single stock that I bought was just going up 5, 6, 7% a day. And I think by the end of 2020, my investing portfolio was up over 200%. Not bad for my first full year. At a point, Warren Buffett was even saying that, stock market valuations are a bit too high, we've gotten too ahead of ourselves and we should expect a pullback sometime soon. And I remember thinking to myself, move aside old man, I'm here to take over. So at that point, I thought that, I was going to continue investing into individual stocks so that I could beat the market. Getting 11%, which is what the S&P 500 has returned on average over the last 10 years, that just wasn't good enough for me anymore. I wanted more. Even this year, the S&P 500 is up about 20% and the Nasdaq 100 is up by more than 40%, which is really high for these ETF standards. But still, there are a lot of individual stocks who have performed a lot better, like Facebook, which is up 166%, and of course Nvidia, which is up 236%. By the way, if you guys want to invest in stocks and ETFs globally, then check out Interactive Brokers. They're one of the better platforms out there in my opinion. I've left the link to sign up down below. If you want to see a review of the platform before you sign up, then check out our YouTube video. You can see it here. Anyway, back to the story. So this was my thinking at the time. I was going to continue investing into individual stocks. I was going to beat the market easily, and this is how I was going to get richer than everyone else. Then the 2022 bear market happened and reality hit me. Picking individual stocks to invest in was not easy. You see, not every stock is just going to go up all the time. This is not 2020 anymore. That was like a once in a lifetime event, and we really had to think where we were going to invest our money in. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I just don't think blindly buying and holding individual stocks works. It works for ETFs, but for individual stocks, I just don't think it will work out. There are just so many examples of companies out there where their stocks drop 50, 60, maybe even 70%, and they will most likely never revisit their all-time highs. I'm not saying these stocks won't come back, but let's just look at some of the most popular names back in 2020. So there's Zoom, which back then of course everyone thought Zoom was the next big thing, but it's now down 88% from their all-time highs, and it doesn't look like they're gonna go back there anytime soon. And then there's also our very own Shopee, where we spend our money every single week, every single month. It's down 90% from their all-time highs in 2021, and until this day, the business is still trying to figure out where they want to go next. So if you bought these stocks at the top and right now you're down 88-90% on your investment, would you still have the confidence to continue buying and holding, or would you even have the confidence to continue adding on to your investment? I don't know about you guys, but for me, the answer is no. And these are actually decent companies, Zoom, Shopee, it's not like they're fake companies, they're real companies with good products and good customers, and even they are struggling. There are so many other companies out there where, they're just completely garbage and your stock is not going to do anything until one day they probably go bankrupt. And even if you look at stocks like Apple, the biggest company in the world right now, worth trillions of dollars, it may seem good, but one day it will die off. That's just the circle of life. So I just can't see any way where someone can say, I'm super confident that this stock will be alive in the next 10 years, let alone still be a top company. So there's a reason that investors like Warren Buffett can beat the market every single year for such a long time, whereas most of us retail investors can't. The reason is basically it's hard. If it wasn't hard, then all of us would be doing it by now. I'm not saying it's impossible though, it is definitely possible. I know a lot of people who are still doing this successfully until this day. The thing is, it's gonna take you time. So you have to do things like trying to understand the company's business model, understanding their financials, going through their earnings reports, seeing any news, and then you probably even have to make a best guess effort on where the company will be in the next few years. I used to do these things too. I used to go through earnings reports and it was fun, but it does take up a lot of your time. And at this stage in my life, time is just something that I didn't have. You see, back then I had a lot of commitments. I had my full-time job, I had to maintain this YouTube channel, and I also had a social life. I had to keep up my friends and family and stuff like that. Time is valuable, time is money, so we gotta think how we want to spend it. So is it worth it putting the extra effort, to do the research, follow earnings reports and all that kind of stuff to generate extra returns from my investments? Is it worth it? For me, the answer was no. And it's not that I didn't like the stock market anymore, because I still did, and until today I still do. I really love the stock markets. But another thing that I did was, over the last year or so, I started taking trading a lot more seriously. So that's another reason that I didn't really have time anymore to look at my long-term investments into individual stocks. Of course, trading also takes up a lot of time, but at least this one I enjoyed more, and I actually think it suits me better, trading based on charts, technical analysis, all that kind of stuff, versus actually going into fundamentals for my long-term investing portfolio. Also, after a while, I realized that it didn't really make sense for me to take on so much risk with my capital. So I did have quite a bit of savings for someone my age. It was going good, but I didn't want to risk it all, So trading is already risky. Should I take on that additional extra risk by having, individual stocks purely in my long-term investment portfolio? Initially, I thought it was fine, but after a while, I realized that, what if I blow up my trading account and then my long-term investment portfolio doesn't do well either? I might think I have a lot saved, but by the time I retire, maybe I have 100,000, 200,000, and that would be a really bad scenario. So since, I'm taking on trading, I accept the risk. I think that, my long-term investment portfolio just should be a little bit less risky. And that's why I've moved my entire long-term portfolio into completely ETFs. So for most people who don't care about the stock markets but still want to invest, I think this is actually your best choice. Warren Buffett even says that investing into ETFs is the most sensible way to invest in the stock market for the large majority of people. Sorry for making fun of you 2 years ago, Mr. Buffett. I believe you now. So the thing is, there are just so many different ETFs out there these days that you can still kind of pick and choose where you want to invest your money in. So for example, 2 years ago, I thought that the cybersecurity industry was going to be, very important and the companies would do very well. So I did some light research and invested in this company called CrowdStrike. To be honest, I was clueless. I didn't know whether CrowdStrike was better than the competitors, and the industry is just so complex that I would never truly understand it. So instead of investing in a company like CrowdStrike, I just sold it off and bought a cybersecurity ETF. So this way, in the ETF, of course, CrowdStrike is inside, as well as a bunch of different companies in the cybersecurity industry. Investing in ETFs also saves me so much time. I don't have to do any research or, check out the earnings of companies and stuff like that. Whether the market is up or down, I'm going to be investing the same amount every single month. Basically, what I'm doing is DCA. And I've been making a lot of videos recently about how you guys should have your investments on autopilot. Try to keep it simple, try to keep it passive, unless you have really big interest in investing. And I thought it's about time for me to follow my own advice. So that's why I decided to sell all of my stocks in my long-term investing portfolio. Right now, I only hold ETFs, and I've accepted that for this portfolio, I don't have to beat the market, I just have to perform as well as the market, which I basically will because I invest in ETFs. There's a lot of better ways for me to use my time. Instead of trying to beat the market with this portfolio, I can just spend it elsewhere trying to get more active income, so I can just throw more money into my long-term investing portfolio. Let me know what you guys think about investing in stocks versus ETFs. Thanks for watching this video to the end, guys. Give us a huge thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.